threats of climate change on health? Well, they're the direct ones through extreme weather events, floods and storms and heat waves, which we feel in Europe a lot with our elderly population, many with chronic diseases, but also, as already mentioned, the threat for food security. Because with agriculture, if we think about it, humans, how will we manage to get up to 7.7 billion on this planet? Because we're producing a lot of food on most of the land, and that depends on a somewhat predictable weather pattern. And if in one year there's a drought, the other year there's too much rain, the rains come too early, come too late, then that threatens the harvest yields, and that threatens food security. The Lancet Commission on Planetary Health, which is actually also an important point to make, that climate change is just one aspect. It's a bit like the fever of the planet, but we have other crises as well, loss of ecosystems, biodiversity, pollution, etc. So this Lancet Commission on Planetary Health, they identified 3 challenges. One is a knowledge challenge, which is kind of basically how does the global environmental changes backfire on human health, what we've already discussed. And a lot of research is in that area. But then the second one is the implementation challenge. So as Sylvia pointed out, there are so many things that we should be doing anyway for our health, and how can they, that are like what we need to do basically for stopping climate change is also good for our health. And how do we implement this now? How do we get it done? And to accompany this with research and find out which approaches are working, in which context, how can we transfer one context to another, how can we scale them up? And there are so many of these win-win solutions out there in more sustainable agriculture, city planning, you already mentioned. Also, stopping burning fossil fuels will reduce air pollution. More than 6 million people die due to air pollution every year. And the research to kind of how to implement this better. And the third challenge, which was also quite interesting, was an imagination challenge. So how do we think about the relationship between humans and the planet? Do we realize that we're one part of this, or we see ourselves as separate? And this is also maybe for research in psychology, philosophy, etc., which is important, because the way we think about something also drives how we act. I think it's important in science that we dig deep in some specialized areas, but it's also important that we then connect the pieces and integrate them again for the bigger picture. And because the real world is not divided in disciplinary draws. And the big picture is that we are in a complex planetary crisis consisting of various dimensions, health dimension, but also biodiversity loss heading towards the 6th mass extinction due to ecosystem destruction, climate change heading towards heating humanity has not seen ever before, pollution, etc. And these are also linked with each other. For example, climate change stresses ecosystems and forces animals to migrate and makes them get closer to humans and other places again, and their viruses as well.